Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host, and this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. This time, I want to take a look at a bunch of trade paperback books from my bookshelf out in the garage. All comic book stuff. And this is a total of 10 books that we're going to have a little look at. This covers many years. But none of them are very contemporaneous. So this is some old things. Okay, and our first one that we're going to look at is Volume 1 of Avengers Masterworks, featuring the work of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. This reprints the first 5 issues of the Avengers. Of course, and this volume is from 1993, and of course, as I said, it reprints the first 5 issues from 63 and 64. So, the funny thing is that it's been just as long since this was published to now as it had been from the original publication of the material to this publication. So, which makes it kind of old. And of course, this is the cover to the first issue, and here on the back are the other 4 issues represented, covers. Our first story, Jack Kirby. This is, of course, Loki being naughty. Some great, if kind of hokey, Silver Agey stuff, but still it's pretty good. I tell you, overall, I enjoy reading this stuff more than I do any of the contemporary material. I think for the most part of it is just the style of storytelling that they're using today. So that's that one. Then we go to the Sensational SpiderMan from 1988. This is a volume that reprints king-size annual Spider-Man number 14 and 15, both written by Denny O'Neil and drawn by Frank Miller. And one of the odd things about this one is, of course, it's Frank Miller. You used to seeing him with like Daredevil and Batman and Sin City and stuff, but this of course predates that. And of course, the book is from '88, but yeah, and one of the unusual things is that they printed them. Issue 14 is second, and issue 15 is first. That's odd. It's got, of course, has Punisher. That's what I'm trying to say. Punisher in it. And of course, Punisher got his started in Spider-Man. And then the second story features Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange. So it's got some. That's a very cool page layout there, illustration, and nice lettering style. So there's the back, featuring the Punisher and Doctor Strange. Then we go to, this is from 2003, Daredevil, and this is reprints the comic adaptation of the the 20, was it 2002? 2003? I forgot what year. Daredevil movie starring Ben Affleck. But that's not all that's in here. It has a couple of reprints, a couple of other issues as well. Various creators, like the movie is written by Bruce Jones with Manuel Garcia, the penciler. Then Daredevil and Elektra #1, Daredevil #32, and Spider-Man's Tangled Web #4. Oh, that's some really nice stuff there. Nice stuff. Anything of interest on the back? Just there. And I was reading I got into Daredevil a bit during the Frank Miller era. I don't think I have any of those left. Then we go to the Sensational SheHulk, which is 1985 Marvel graphic novel number 18. And it's written and drawn, writing in pencils, by John Byrne. And like most of these books, I haven't read in decades. But in the last couple of days, I reread this. I think I'll do a more in-depth look into this volume in about a week or so, which I'll give you a little teaser here. Some of the John Byrne SheHulk goodness. And there on the back cover is a photo of John Byrne himself with Kim DeMolder, who was the inker, and Petra Scottis, who was the colorist. And I think it did a nice coloring job on it. So we'll look more into that later. Then we have Star Wars, Splinter of the Mind's Eye. And this was from 1996, and this of course is the comic adaptation of the Alan Dean Foster novel, which I read when the novel was first printed, in between the first two Star Wars movies. It was by Terry Austin and Chris Sprouse. But this has cover painting by Fegred. I can't even read it. But I remember reading this story so long ago. It's been decades since I read that, and almost as long since I've read this. But you can get it. Dum dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum. I think that's taken from the a cover painting to the novel. Did a good resemblance to the actors in there. Then we go sideways. Steve Canyon. This is volume 4 from 1978. Reprinting strips from 1948 by Milton Caniff. So this goes back to, and I've done Steve Canyon and Milton Caniff before, but it wasn't from this book. But of course he is known for his dense blacks and his great draftsmanship and storytelling, as well as being an excellent writer in his own right. April 1948. Some cool stuff there, and I think this is the oldest volume, the first volume that I got of any Steve Canyon stuff. So I've had this volume for decades, even though it's from '78. I got it secondhand, and that's cool stuff. Then we go to something really unusual. Is Real Love. This is published by Eclipse Comics, again from 1988, and it's reprints stuff from 1949 and 50 by Jack Kirby and Joe Simon. Yeah, the best of the Simon and Kirby romance comics from the 40s and 50s. And of course, if you remember, they basically created invented the romance comic genre. It's something you don't find anymore at all. And of course, photo cover. And I back in February for Valentine's Day, I intended to cover this book then, a couple of stories out of it, and I couldn't find it. I knew it was out there, and I looked and looked and couldn't find it. I just must have overlooked it, because there I found it, no problem, when I wasn't looking for it. You know how that happens. And of course, this is completely different from Jack Kirby's better known style from the 60s and 70s and 80s. This is definitely his earlier style, and you wouldn't have thought that his style would work very well for romance, but it did fine, and he did some great stuff here, in the backgrounds and stuff. I wanted to show you this first story, is because it's kind of funny. If you know, you know. And this is the title of the first story here, Backdoor Love. And here it is in color on the back. I was a normal, respectable girl who thought of love as a beautiful, tender experience. But then I met him. To be in his arms, I found myself lying, cheating, loitering in the shadows, descending step by step into the degrading depths of dishonor. It was all he could offer, and I shamefully accepted his backdoor love. Of course, that has a completely different meaning today. And if you know, you know. If you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. Then we go to, from 1989, The Mocker. It's by Steve Ditko. And this is, for as I can tell, this was self-published. This is actually 1990. About his stuff and his, let's see, his stuff. He was so wordy, and he was cramming so many. One page, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. Must be 20 or 24 panels on one page. And they're little tiny panels too. But he was doing, and this Mocker character was not dissimilar, similar to his Mr. A. And it got very wordy, because at this time, a lot of his original stuff was stories that were basically, and well, I'll mention that in the next one too, because that is also Steve Ditko, the Ditko collection. Ditko, this is Volume 1 from Fantagraphics. This is from 1985, reprinting material from 66 through 73. This is a first edition. From the master storyteller who drew the definitive versions of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, and the Hulk. Of course, Steve Ditko. It's Zipatone on here, and this is primarily Mr. A, I think. But then some of the other art. That's a surprisingly really nice science fiction illustration right there. It's got some humorous stuff, but it is primarily Mr. A. His stuff that he could, and of course, his Mr. A stuff was eventually, and his other stories had a tendency to degenerate into essays on his social and political opinions based on Ayn Rand's. Now I can't think of the word. I hate it when that happens. Doesn't matter. But you can see, and it's very crowded, cramped panels, many of them. And it. Steve Ditko. Now, I really liked his stuff back then. Now, here we go. We're going to finish this up with this. This is from This is National Lampoon's Encyclopedia of Humor from 1973, edited by Michael O'Donoghue. And think, why is this in with comics? Well, it is. It's sort of. If you're familiar with National Lampoon magazine, I don't know if it's still being published or not. I don't know. But look at this cover illustration. Oh, isn't that cool? And this is where it really ties in, because guess who did that? Guess. I bet you never guess. Yeah, that's a Bernie Wrightson illustration. This is when Bernie Wrightson was still new. But that's a really nice Bernie Wrightson cover illustration, and it's got a lot of text, and of course it's all the text. It's essays, articles, and stuff that are of a humorous nature and silly, and some downright false. Look at this. Of course, this is a silly thing about Rolling Fortress, which was a super bus. Fake, entirely fictitious. But look at the lovely painting on here. This is a really nice painting, and it's done by Russ Heath. Yeah, Russ Heath from Sergeant Rock and stuff. Of course, it's filled with cartoons, but it also has some comic stuff. There's some more silly stuff. Winston Churchill. And more. So this is by Bruce McCall. Here we go to, but they had comics as well. And this is, come on, get to it. I can't get the first page, but never mind. And this is also drawn by Russ Heath. And it's to be continued. And then there's some other bunch of cartoons and humorous articles. Where's the other one I wanted to get? Beneath the Family of Man. Come on. Travel Poem by Rail. Here we go. This is what I was looking for. And this is Cowgirls at War by AC/DC Comics. Of course, written by Michael O'Donoghue with art by Russ Heath. And this is some nearly naked cowgirls and some very sexy stuff. So I won't, but just to show you how beautiful his non-regular, of course, exaggerated sexuality of the ladies, and even some other stuff. Some more comics, so it fits right in. And it even has Frank Frazetta on the back cover. How about that? Frank freaking Frazetta in the Encyclopedia of Humor. Get a load of that. Okay, that's all I've got for you this time. From my stack of trade paperbacks from my garage bookshelf. And so I hope you enjoyed that. So please like, share, and subscribe. Do leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of these books. Some really interesting material here, and covering decades. Some very classic stuff, and the like. So let me know in the comments below. And remember, people, comics are art.